They weren't just trying to steal her house, her history, they were shredding her life's work, piece by irreplaceable piece, while making her think she was losing her mind. It's almost unbelievable what people will do, even people you love, people you trust. I'm Victoria, and welcome back to the channel, where we talk about the times life throws things at you, things you never saw coming, and the incredible ways people find to fight back. Today's story. It's one that lodged itself deep in my gut. It came from a client, we'll call her Agnes. Agnes is, well, she was a cartographer, not someone who uses GPS, someone who drew maps, by hand, meticulous, precise, capturing history on paper. She seemed quiet, almost shy when we first spoke, but underneath there was this core of absolute steel. She needed it, for what she went through, and for what she decided to do about it. This is about betrayal on a scale that's hard to comprehend, and about justice served so cold. It burns. You absolutely need to hear how Agnes turned the tables, so stick around, maybe hit that subscribe button right now. You won't want to miss a second of this, because what happened to Agnes could happen to anyone, but how she responded, that's pure Agnes. She asked me to share it, using her voice, her words, so now I'll let Agnes tell you herself exactly what they did, and what she did next. It started subtly, like water seeping into stone. You don't notice at first. Then one day, the stone cracks. My life, it was built on details, on noticing. I spent 50 years mapping the unseen, the forgotten paths, the shifting shorelines, the bones of old towns. My house, inherited from my grandfather, was my sanctuary, my archive, filled with charts, survey equipment, decades of painstaking work. My grandnephew, Julian. He started visiting more often after his grandmother, my sister, passed away. He brought his girlfriend, Chantal. She was all smiles and compliments, called me Aunt Agnes, though I wasn't her aunt, said she admired my dedication. My unique little hobby, 50 years of professional work, historical documentation, but I let it slide. He was family, lonely perhaps, adrift. I tried to be welcoming, accommodating. They'd bring groceries, cook sometimes, fuss over me. It felt nice at first, a bit much, but nice. Then little things started, my keys not where I always left them, appointments missed, because the reminder note vanished. Chantal would tut-tut. Oh, Agnes, your memory, maybe we should help you organize. Julian would look sympathetic. Don't worry, Auntie, we'll take care of things. Take care of things. Yes, they certainly did. Then came the medication changes. My doctor retired. A new one took over his practice, recommended by Chantal. Naturally, she'd done so much research, found the perfect fit for me. Suddenly I was on new pills, for conditions I didn't know I had, high blood pressure, anxiety, something for cognitive support. Chantal managed them, laid them out each morning, watched me take them. Just want to be sure you're getting the best care, Agnes, she'd chirp. The fog started rolling in, not all at once, but gradually, thicker each day. My thoughts felt slow, muddy, concentration, difficult. Sometimes I'd feel incredibly sleepy. Right after breakfast, my meticulous notes started having gaps. Shaky handwriting. I felt diminished, confused, ashamed. Was this just getting old? Was my sharp mind finally failing me? They seemed so concerned, so helpful. Julian handled my online banking. It's too confusing for you now, Auntie. Chantal organized my papers. Let me just tidy this clutter. My research files, my preliminary sketches, my correspondence with historical societies, and my maps, my beautiful maps, rows and rows of them, rolled, stored carefully in labeled tubes, in the archive room, my life's work, documenting the soul of this region. One day, I went looking for a specific set, coastal erosion studies from the 70s. Crucial data. The tube was there, the label was right. Inside, blank paper, rolled neatly. Panic, cold and sharp, cut through the fog for a moment. I checked another, then another. Some were right, others, filled with blank sheets or unrelated sketches, old shopping lists, junk. I confronted them, my voice shaking. My maps, some of them are gone, replaced. Chantal put her arm around me, that pitying look I grew to hate. Agnes, dear. They're probably just misplaced. You know how things get muddled sometimes. Julian chimed in. We helped you tidy the archive room last month, remember? Maybe they got put in different tubes. We'll help you look later. But his eyes flickered away too quickly. Gaslighting, I know the term now. Back then, I just felt crazy, undermined, helpless. They started talking about needing power of attorney. Just in case, to protect you, Agnes. Make sure your bills are paid, your wishes are followed. They had papers drawn up. I was so foggy, so tired, so full of doubt. I remember signing, vaguely, Julian's hand guiding mine, Chantal smiling, that bright false smile. The fog was a prison, built brick by brick, pill by pill, lie by lie. They controlled my finances, my medication, my contact with the outside world. Friends who called were told I was resting or not up to visitors. Emails went unanswered, letters unopened. Isolation was their most powerful tool. Next to the drugs, my world shrank to the walls of my own house where I was becoming a ghost. And then, the final insult, the one that shattered the fog, the one that woke the dragon. It wasn't even something they did directly to me. At first, it was about my legacy. The only thing I had left, I was having a rare, clearer morning. Maybe the dosage was slightly off that day. Maybe my body was fighting back. I don't know, but I was awake, truly awake. For the first time in months, I stayed in bed, pretending to be groggy, listening. Their voices drifted up from the kitchen. Julian and Chantal, they thought I was asleep, or too sedated to hear, or care. Julian was whining. It's taking so long, all this paperwork, the historical designation committee. Chantal's voice, sharp, impatient. Relax once the house sale goes through. None of that matters. The developers have the demolition permits ready. This place, and all her dusty old drawings, gone, poof. Demolition, my grandfather's house, my archive, gone. Then Julian laughed, a nasty bragging sound. You should have seen the look on her face when she couldn't find that stupid old town map. The big one she called her masterpiece. Took me ages to shred that one. Thick paper. Shredded, my map of Old Haven, 1880. Reconstructed from fragments of town records, fire insurance surveys, personal diaries, years of work, my heart, on paper, shredded, casually, like it was trash. Something inside me snapped. The fog didn't just lift, it evaporated, burned away by pure white-hot rage. The confusion, the fear, the lethargy, gone, replaced by a clarity so sharp, it hurt. They weren't just neglectful or greedy, they were cruel, deliberately destructive. Erasing me, erasing history, for money, for convenience. In that moment, lying there pretending to be asleep, I wasn't scared Agnes anymore. I wasn't confused Agnes. I was Agnes, the cartographer, the observer, the recorder of details, and I decided I would map their downfall with the same precision, the same dedication I gave to my charts. They thought I was finished, a relic, easily discarded. They had no idea what a relic could do. When pushed too far, my mind, the one they tried to poison, was now my weapon, and my house, the one they planned to destroy, held secrets they couldn't imagine, secrets I had mapped myself. Decades ago, the game had changed, and they were about to learn who they were dealing with. Righteous fury, it's a powerful fuel. It burned away the last vestiges of doubt. My first move was survival, understanding the chemical cage they'd built. I started pretending to take the pills Chantal laid out, palming them, hiding them, flushing them later when I could. It was risky, withdrawal was nasty, headaches, tremors, but clarity was worth it. Each dose I skipped, the world came back into focus. Sharper, harder. I needed proof, concrete proof, not just my word against theirs. They thought my memory was shot, ironic, because I started remembering everything, every condescending word, every misplaced object, every flicker of deceit in their eyes, and I started documenting. My old habits, ingrained over 50 years, kicked in. I used tiny notebooks, hidden in hollowed-out books on my shelves, places they'd never look, dates, times, snippets of conversation overheard, medication details, financial discrepancies I started noticing online. They'd left my old laptop, thinking I couldn't operate it anymore. Big mistake. I started digging. Late at night, when they were asleep, bank statements, transfers I never authorized, credit card bills for luxuries they'd bought, disguised as household expenses, and I remembered my grandfather's secrets. He was a builder before he was a map enthusiast. This old house wasn't just walls and floors. He'd built hidden compartments, small voids, spaces between walls, things he'd documented in his original blueprints I still had. Carefully stored, mislabeled, naturally, my archive room, the one they'd tidied, had a false back panel, behind the third row of map tubes, easy to miss unless you knew asterisk exactly where to press. That became my command center, my evidence locker. I needed more than notes, I needed their own words. I bought a tiny audio recorder, disguised as a USB stick, ordered it online using a prepaid card I'd stashed years ago. Had it delivered to a neighbor I trusted, discreetly. Planting it was nerve-wracking. I'd leave it near the kitchen phone, in the living room where they watched TV, moving it carefully, retrieving it when they were out, downloading the audio files onto encrypted drives, hidden in the false panel. The things I heard, vile, chilling, their contempt for me, their impatience, their cold-blooded plans for the house, the money, Chantal detailing how she coached Julian on manipulating me. Mimicking my supposed confusion, Julian bragging about fooling the doctor, the lawyer, confirmation about the map shredding, laughing about it, each recording, another nail in their coffin. I learned the full extent of their plan. They'd inflated my expenses, siphoned my savings into accounts Julian controlled. They'd deliberately chosen a developer known for quick demolitions, bypassing historical reviews. They'd even started selling off some of my smaller antiques. Cartographic instruments, online, pocketing the cash, piece by piece, replacing them with cheap replicas. Hoping I wouldn't notice, or wouldn't be lucid enough to care, my meticulous nature, my cartographer's eye, started seeing the pattern, the map of their deceit. I noticed the slight colour difference on a newly polished brass sextant, the modern screw head on a replica compass, more photos, more notes. For the file, I needed allies, but carefully chosen ones. Contacting the police felt premature, my word, a supposedly confused old woman, against two charming young caretakers, with power of attorney, risky. I reached out to Elena, my oldest friend, a retired librarian, sharp as a tack and fiercely loyal, used to burn a phone I'd also acquired, met her secretly at the library, away from the house, showing her the notebooks, playing snippets of the recordings. Her face went pale, then flushed with anger. Agnes. Those monsters, we have to stop them. Elena became my outside agent, my connection. She helped me find a lawyer, not just any lawyer, but one known for handling complex fraud and elder abuse cases. Quietly, strategically, Ms. Davies, formidable, listened intently, her eyes missing nothing. She reviewed my evidence, the notebooks, the audio files, the financial trails I'd uncovered. Agnes, she said finally, this is extensive and horrifying. But your documentation, it's impeccable. We have a very strong case. The question is, how do you want to proceed? We can go the standard legal route, or, given the circumstances, we can perhaps orchestrate something more public. A slow smile touched my lips. The rage was still there, but now it was cold, calculating. Oh, I think public, I said. Very public. Then, the perfect opportunity presented itself, like a gift. The local historical society, my historical society, the one I'd poured years into supporting, announced their annual gala, celebrating the town's heritage, and the centerpiece this year, a planned tribute, to me, acknowledging my decades of cartographic contributions. Julian and Chantal had somehow positioned themselves on the organizing committee, no doubt planning to control the narrative, perhaps even accept the honor on my behalf, citing my frailty, the irony. Staggering, they planned to celebrate my legacy while actively destroying it, and me, the venue, the timing, the audience. It was perfect, a stage for the final act. My plan began to form, intricate, layered like one of my most complex maps, leveraging their greed, their arrogance, their belief in my utter helplessness. Ms. Davies helped refine the legal angles. Elena helped with logistics, discreet communications. I knew Julian. He was weak. Greedy, but ultimately lazy and easily panicked. Chantal, she was the driver, smarter, more ruthless, but blinded by avarice, convinced of her own superiority. I needed to separate them, briefly, at the critical moment, and I knew just the bait, remembering my grandfather's blueprints. There was another hidden space, a small safe, concealed behind a loose stone in the old cellar fireplace, a place only I knew. A place definitely not on any modern survey, a place perfect for planting the final pieces of evidence, the audio recorder, with the most damning clips queued up, copies of the forged power of attorney, alongside the real one I'd kept hidden, receipts for the sold antiques, cross-referenced with their secret bank accounts, and, heartbreakingly, a small bag containing fragments, salvaged from the bin of my shredded masterpiece map. Proof of the physical destruction, the trap, was ready to be set. The night of the Historical Society Gala arrived. I allowed Chantal to help me dress, feigning slight confusion, but compliant, letting her think she was managing me. Julian fussed, looking important in his rented tuxedo. They drove me to the event hall, filled with local dignitaries, historians, neighbours, people who had known me for years, people they had systematically lied to. About my health, my state of mind, I played the part, frail, leaning on Julian's arm, nodding vaguely at greetings. The early part of the evening, dragged, speeches, pleasantries. Julian and Chantal basked in the reflected attention, accepting sympathies for my condition, expressing their devotion. My stomach churned, but the cold resolve held. Then came the tribute, to me, a slideshow, curated mostly by Chantal, focusing on my early work, subtly implying my best years were long past. She even had the gall to mention how they were helping me organize my extensive collection. The presenter called me to the stage. Julian started to guide me, ready to speak for me, but I straightened up, pulled my arm away gently, firmly, walked to the podium. Alone, a murmur went through the crowd. Surprise, I looked out. Saw Elena give a small, encouraging nod, saw Miss Davies near the back, watchful. I took a breath. "Thank you," I began, my voice clearer, stronger than anyone expected, especially Julian and Chantal. Their smiles froze. "Thank you for this honour. My work, mapping our history, has been my life's passion." I spoke briefly, about the importance of preservation, of truth. Then I paused, looked directly at Julian and Chantal, who were now shifting uncomfortably. "Speaking of preservation," I continued, my voice hardening, "I've been doing some organising myself recently, rediscovering things long hidden." I saw Chantal's eyes narrow, suspicion dawning. "In fact," I said, leaning into the microphone, "just this afternoon I remembered something my grandfather told me about the old cellar fireplace, a loose stone, something important hidden behind it, something potentially very valuable, related to the house's true history." I watched them closely. Julian looked confused, then intrigued, greed flickering in his eyes. Chantal went pale, her mind working fast. What could it be? Jewellery, old bonds, something that predated her control, something she hadn't accounted for. Her eyes darted towards Julian. A silent command, retrieve it, now, before anyone else knows, before I could reveal more, just as I'd anticipated. "If you'll excuse me," I said to the audience. Perhaps my nephew Julian could check on something for me at the house, just to be sure. Chantal practically shoved Julian towards the exit, whispering furiously in his ear. He looked flustered, trapped, but her greed was his command. He stumbled out, perfect. He was on his way to the cellar, to the planted evidence. Now, for phase 2. "Actually," I said, turning back to the stunned audience, "while Julian is gone, perhaps we can all see what he finds. Technology is wonderful, isn't it?" On cue, Elena signalled a technician. The large screen behind me, which had shown the tribute slideshow, flickered, then showed a live feed, grainy, dark, but clear enough, a hidden camera feed, relayed via Wi-Fi booster Elena had helped me set up, aimed directly at the cellar fireplace. The audience gasped, confused, intrigued. We watched, in silence, as Julian frantically entered the cellar, located the loose stone, pulled out the small box I'd planted. He opened it, peering inside, relief, then confusion washing over his face. No jewels, just papers, a recorder, shredded map pieces. The audience murmured, leaning forward, captivated. Then, Ms. Davies stepped forward, discreetly handing the technician a file. The audio, from the recorder in the box, began playing over the hall's speakers. Chantal's sharp voice, "Just increase the dosage slightly. He won't notice the difference." Julian's bragging tone. Shredded that stupid map. Took ages. Chantal again. The demolition permit is secured. The developers pay cash, no trace. Gasps, shouts, outrage rippling through the hall. Chantal stood frozen, face bleached white, horror dawning, trapped, on the screen. Julian looked up, hearing the faint audio perhaps, realizing something was terribly wrong. Miss Davies stepped towards the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, her voice cut through the shocked silence, what you are witnessing is the evidence of a calculated campaign of elder abuse, financial exploitation, medical manipulation, and the malicious destruction of historical property, perpetrated against Miss Agnes Morrow by her grandnephew Julian Croft and his associate Chantal Dubois. She gestured to the screen, to the audio. Miss Morrow, with incredible courage, gathered this evidence herself. While systematically being drugged and isolated, she then presented copies, projected onto the screen, the forged documents, the bank transfers, the emails arranging the sale and demolition, photos of the replaced antiques, contrasted with the real ones, and finally, a high-resolution image of the bag of shredded map fragments, found in the box Julian just opened. Live on camera, the effect was devastating. People were on their feet, shouting. Pointing at Chantal, security personnel, pre-briefed by Miss Davies, moved discreetly towards the exits, and towards a trembling Chantal. Police officers, also alerted, were already en route to the house to intercept Julian, red-handed, with the evidence box. It was checkmate, mapped, executed, finished. The fallout was immediate and brutal, just as I intended. Julian was arrested in the cellar, holding the box, babbling incoherently. Chantal was detained at the Gala, amidst the fury of the crowd, trying to maintain composure, failing utterly. The story exploded. Local news, then wider. Cartographer traps abusers in live sting. Elderly aunt foils $1 million fraud. The details, the medication tampering, the shredding of historical maps. The planned demolition horrified everyone. The community, which had been fed lies about my decline, turned on them with a vengeance. Friends they thought they had vanished. Business contacts severed ties. Their carefully constructed facade crumbled overnight. Legally, it was overwhelming. Miss Davies presented the mountain of evidence, my meticulous notes, the audio recordings, the financial trail, the live footage, the physical proof from the box. Their defense collapsed. They tried blaming each other. Julian claiming Chantal manipulated him. Chantal claiming Julian acted alone out of resentment. Nobody believed them. The evidence was too clear, too damning. They faced multiple charges: fraud, theft, forgery, elder abuse and neglect, conspiracy, malicious destruction of property, even charges related to the unlicensed practice of medicine due to the medication tampering. The sentences were severe: prison time, significant restitution orders, though recovering the full financial loss was unlikely. They had spent lavishly. Their names became synonymous with betrayal, greed, cruelty. In our town, they were utterly ruined, socially, financially, personally. For me, the victory was profound, but not simple. Getting my house back was the first step. Reclaiming my space, my sanctuary, changing the locks, felt symbolic, powerful. Sorting through the damage was painful. Some maps were gone forever, shredded beyond repair. A loss that still aches. The sold antiques, mostly unrecoverable. But I had backups, partial backups. Digital scans Elena had helped me make secretly. Notes, sketches. My memory, fully returned, sharp, focused, became my ultimate archive. I began the slow process of reconstruction, redrawing, annotating. The Historical Society, deeply embarrassed, offered profound apologies and practical help, funding for restoration, volunteers, archival assistance. My house, thanks to the public outcry, was granted immediate protected heritage status. Demolition unthinkable. My health improved rapidly, off their toxic regimen, seeing my real doctor again. The fog was gone, replaced by a clarity, a strength I didn't know I possessed. Or maybe it was always there, buried under politeness, under trust. They mistook quietness for weakness, meticulousness for obsession, age for irrelevance. They underestimated me, profoundly. That was their fatal mistake. Life is different now, quieter, perhaps, but on my own terms. The trust is harder to give. The world seems sharper-edged, but I am not diminished, I am forged. The steel I found within me remains. My work continues, mapping the past, securing its future. My story became a cautionary tale, a rallying cry for vigilance, for respecting elders, for recognizing the hidden strengths that lie dormant until provoked. Justice was served, harsh, uncompromising, exactly as they deserved. There is a peace in that, a cold, clear, satisfying peace. Wow, right, just wow, Agnes's story. It leaves you breathless, doesn't it? The sheer audacity of the betrayal, the calculated cruelty, trying to erase a person, literally shredding her life's work, poisoning her mind. It makes your blood run cold, or maybe boil. But then, the fight back, that quiet, meticulous cartographer, turning her skills, her knowledge of her own space, her righteous fury, into weapons, mapping their downfall. Step by painstaking step, using their own greed, their own arrogance, to spring the trap. That public reveal, the live feed, the audio recordings, it wasn't just justice, it was theatre, brutal, brilliant theatre. Was it harsh? Absolutely. Was it necessary, given what they did, what they tried to steal? Not just money, but her mind, her legacy. I think Agnes would say yes, unequivocally and honestly, listening to her. Feeling the cold fire in her words, I have to agree. Sometimes justice needs to be as fierce as the betrayal. What do you think? Was it justice, or was it revenge, or can it be both? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I truly want to hear what you think about Agnes's choices, and if stories like this resonate with you, stories of resilience, of fighting back against overwhelming odds, maybe consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. We share stories like Agnes's every week, stories that deserve to be heard. Thank you for listening, for being part of this community. I'm Victoria, and I'll see you in the next story.